all to Gary Silcott, who is, yeah, I'm going to say that one more time. So Gary Silcott's here with us from Delaware Nation Industries. He's not only an Army veteran, but he's also a director over there at DNI. And for those of you that were not here for the last time that DNI joined us, Delaware Nation Industries is a Native American-owned procurement, IT, consulting, but essentially a defense contractor. And they are an incredible company. They have one of the lowest turnover rates that you'll see across the nation. So really great opportunities that they have, great culture. I've met multiple of their staff. Absolutely great place to work. I can just tell from the way that they show up, the way that they have energy about their company. So Gary, based on your background, would you mind starting off by just telling us a little bit about your Army experience?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, and Tyler, I appreciate it. This is really a privilege for me to be a part of this and love the mission of what Seven Eagle Group is doing. I got out in 2000 and didn't really have resources like this, so it's just great to see our military and transitioning veterans being able to rely on Tyler, you and others that can help them in that transition because it's not always easy. But yeah, so for me, I started out in the Army in 1990 and was a Morse code interceptor of all things. The recruiter kind of got me on going to Hawaii, so I thought, hey, that can't be a bad job. And it wasn't. It was actually a really good job. Unfortunately, it was a job that was transitioning out of the military, a lot of multi-mode signal and things that were kind of taken over. So I stayed in until 2000. So it was a 10-year career. Loved portions of it and parts of it, but and then the other parts are things that you have to work through. And so with that job going away, I had to pivot a little bit and kind of figure out what I wanted to do when I was going to get out of the military. And so late in my career, I had the opportunity to go back to school, which was huge for me. Learn some networking and some IT. And then I also was able to kind of pivot a little bit in my job and work through some web page development, systems administration, and some other things late in my career, which kind of helped my transition at the end of 2000 there. So for me, 10 years in the Army, loved every minute of the end was good for me too, is just kind of getting to know the people throughout and the networking that I was able to do as I was transitioning. It was a lot of fun. And so it's a privilege to be here today and talk to you. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Yeah, we're happy to have you, man. I appreciate you taking the time. So when you say like networking as you were getting out and stuff like that, what were some of the things that you employed and what were some lessons that you learned during that process?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is to join forums. There weren't a whole lot back then, but for me, there are so many organizations that actually have in-person networking opportunities where you get to meet other people. Especially if it's in a career field or in an industry that you really, really are excited about, that you want to break into. For me, it was to go to some events for systems administration. It was to get back into school and kind of learn from people, professors. And then really the biggest thing for me is all about attitude and your want to. So getting out there and meeting people and getting outside of your comfort zone. So a lot of people, I'm a people person. So for me, it was kind of easy, but I do know that others, it doesn't come natural to be able to get out in front of people and really open up and get to know people and have them get to know you. Because that's the biggest thing is once you start to get to know people and they establish that trust, that goes a long way. And I can tell you over my career, and especially in the 25 years I've been doing government contracting, several of my jobs were because of the networking and the connections that I had made. And as someone's looking for my skill set and we've built the rapport, they've reached out to me. And so I've had a couple of jobs where I wasn't looking, but someone reached out to me. As a matter of fact, D&I was that way, and I was extremely blessed to be able to make the move to D&I. And but it was the rapport that I had been able to establish with others and developing those relationships. So the networking was really key for me exiting the military, and then it's also been key throughout my career. I don't know if you guys are familiar with things like AFCEA, the Armed Forces Communications and Electronics Association. That was a big one for me. For those in the IT industry, it's a place where you've got other IT folks, you've got military, you've got government civilians. I'd go to lunches, I'd go to events, I'd go to seminars and conferences that they had, and it was just a really good opportunity to meet other people and learn perspectives from other people and be a sponge. So that was really the biggest thing for me, Tyler, in that transition was getting out of my comfort zone in some cases, but really getting to know people.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what we tell, what we tell our students is to get out there and connect, particularly on LinkedIn, but it's refreshing to hear, you recommending like in-person events as too, because I think that's huge. I think our first step is like, all right, guys, attend like seminars and career fairs and networking events online, but also, throw on pants and go out in public and do it as well, because that's going to be just as good, if not better, that face-to-face communication. So we've now met with, particularly for some of the folks that have been in the academy for a few months now, we've now met the chief operating officer at DNI, and obviously we've met Justin Dudyard, one of you guys' top recruiters that's here as well. But looking into your profile a little bit, I see you're a director, but what more specifically, what's your role at DNI? Like, what does director mean at DNI, and what is a day in the life for you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So actually, Lance Gall, who was on here a few weeks ago, he is our chief operating officer. I report directly to Lance as a director of operations, and so what my responsibility is the to as we win new contracts, programs, and things of that sort, that falls under me to help get that transitioned over, to maintain and operate it, and to make sure that we are meeting and exceeding customer expectations. And so I've got a portfolio of programs underneath me, majority IT, we maybe a little bit of Intel here and there, but for the most part, from my perspective and my portfolio is IT, so systems administration. We've got some software development, data science. That's a big thing right now, obviously, data analytics and things like that. Networking, network administration, network engineering, and then also cybersecurity. That's a really big one for us too right now. So we've got one contract where we're building out a whole new infrastructure, and that it entails all aspects of building the network, securing the network. We get to do some really cool stuff. And I'm actually going to highlight some of our team members on LinkedIn either later today or tomorrow. So if you get a chance, you'll see we had a couple of folks go out to a hackathon in Kentucky back in June, and all three placed in competitions. And so it was really cool to be a part of that and to see that our team is really top notch. So a lot of times there's that facade that if you're in a government contracting, you're not necessarily up with cutting edge technology, new technology, but that's the farthest thing from the truth. And those three that I'm going to highlight are really very uh, evident of that. And so, to go to a cyber hackathon and, with industry folks, both in government and a lot of ones that weren't in government, to place in that type of a setting is pretty impressive. So very proud of our team.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. I bet there's some folks on this call that would love a hackathon. Hey, I hope it's all right, but I dropped your LinkedIn in the Zoom chat there. And so that way there, folks from the call can connect with you and they'll see those spotlights if you do those on LinkedIn. So that'd be really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that, Tyler. I always love to connect with folks. And obviously you're cautious, right? When you sometimes if you don't know and you don't know the intent, you're very cautious with the accepting of the LinkedIn. But if you put in there, hey, saw you on the Seven Eagle group, I absolutely will accept the invite and would love to connect with you all.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah, we'll have them send a note that says, "Hey, saw you on Seven Eagle." And but yeah, so I noticed that Justin and Lance sit in Tulsa, but your profile says you're in Tampa. Is that correct?
I am. So I came over from US SOCOM. So not in uniform. I am not that cool. So basically after the military, I did the government contracting and was up in Maryland for a while at NSA and decided that I wanted to move, wanted to kind of get around a little bit. We had our three children were at middle school and elementary school age, and so we wanted to kind of get somewhere where we could find a really good landing place where we could call it for our forever home. And so had an opportunity to come down and work for U.S. Central Command initially and transitioned over to U.S. SOCOM, where I was doing a lot of business analysis and project management, And so, yeah, I'm actually in Tampa, and we've got some contracts down here still. So I get a chance to go down to MacDill Air Force Base and see our folks down at SOCOM.
Nice. I was wondering that too, because I was looking, I always keep an eye on the DNI site. Obviously, my role at Seven Eagle, part of it is just being on the lookout for new jobs for our students. So I'll be honest, I was curious about any availabilities or openings like that in the Tampa area, because I know we got a few on the call that are down there.
Yeah, we actually have a sysadmin that I know we're interviewing for it right now. It's not under Justin's recruiting
Arm.
environment right now, but yeah, it is
Yeah.
under one of our other recruiters. Yeah, so it's a systems administrator, a TS SCI. So any of you out there, if you're looking now for the Tampa area, that is one we are heavily recruiting for.
Okay, sweet. And what's so when it comes to those ones, if they're not listed on the site, is the best way just to click that button that says email my resume?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. That gets it in. So that one of the things, and I know Lance kind of touched on it a little bit, and Justin's probably going to be humble about it, but doing this for 25 years, our recruiting team is by far the best I've seen in any organization. And I've worked for some big companies, Lockheed Martin. Not this is not to put anybody down by any means, but this is really just to talk about what our team has built here from the recruiting side. And Lance Gall and Jay Graham, our president, have just built a phenomenal team of recruiters. And we don't just sit back and wait for folks to send us resumes. We do a lot of hunting. That's a big deal from a recruiting side. And Justin does an outstanding job. That's really one of the cool things about my job is I get to interact with that team, tell them, hey, we really need a rock star, whatever, software developer.
Yeah.
And within hours, literally within hours, we're getting resumes back and, true talent, not just cold resumes. They've actually reached out and done that initial touch. So yeah, it is. If you send the email, they'll get the email, get the resume, and they distribute it to the directors. And they
Yep.
say, hey, here's somebody that looks like they could be a really good fit for us somewhere. And we start working through that process.
Well, I'm not sure if you've had a chance. And by the way, Timothy, I see your hand. I'm going to call on you in a second, brother. I'm not sure if you got a chance to check out Seven Eagle Connect yet, our talent marketplace, but I'd love to. I'd love to get a couple more of your recruiters on there as well. Sorry, Justin, sharing the wealth a little bit, but yeah, anybody else on the DNI team, we can get you guys some more logins so that you can go through those profiles and see if any of them are a good match. But all of the students on this call, like all the transitioners in our academy, have a profile built on our site with their resume and all that stuff quickly, readily available. So we definitely want to, if you guys want, we could share access with some more folks from your team. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that for us, every resource, I know our team digs and, through various sites that we are connected to through LinkedIn and others. And I know Justin could dig in a little bit more to what we truly are using, but it is amazing. And I appreciate that offer because I know, especially for us as we work through the things like the Skill Bridge, and there was another one that the Heroes one, I can't remember the name of that one. I don't even know if that's still active, but it was one of those that we were able to help folks at the end of their military career, 3 to 6 months. We're able to bring them in and do a lot of good things and help them learn either a new skill or potentially just learn a skill that they already had and develop it even more. So
right.
yeah, I appreciate that offer, Tyler. That'll be helpful for us.
Absolutely. Same thing going on here. Like probably 95% of the faces on the screen here they're already actually approved in SkillBridge, ready to start working as soon as, like this afternoon. But way that I typically like to run these, Gary, is well, you and I can chat. Probably we could chat all day. But I like to, if the students have questions, they can throw their hands up. They get a chance to talk directly with you. If you're cool with that, I'll start calling on them. And then anybody that has questions, throw your hands up. And I'm sure Gary would be happy to answer those.
Absolutely. That sounds
All
great.
right. Let's start out with Timothy.
Hi, how's it going, Gary? Thanks for coming to talk to us. I was on a few weeks ago when you guys were on, and I popped on to the website, and I didn't see anything in Tampa. So when you mentioned, you know, that there could be things in Tampa that piqued my interest. I'm currently at Soxent, getting ready to retire out of the Air Force. I am not a IT guy though. Uh, I am more in the program management and operational realm. So I wasn't sure if you had anything in those wheelhouses.
Yeah, so good question. And honestly, we're always bidding on new things. So at the moment, I would say no. We have that one systems administrator role, but that doesn't mean that in 2 months or 3 months we're not going to have. We've got a couple of bids that are going out that would be more along those lines, right? So and honestly, for us, we do kind of delve into a little bit of our security and I'm sorry, Intel. Sorry, Intel, the Intel space at all. Is that, Timothy? Is that anything that is up the alley, or is it more the ops side of things?
So I've done a lot of work with Intel through my career, but uh, in special operations, I was the at the operational level, the doer, not on the Intel. Like I coordinated with them to do operations and a lot of that sharing, but I'm familiar with a lot of the things they do. I wouldn't call myself the expert in what they do.
Understood. But
To be
here's the
honest,
other
like
cool.
I'm not blowing smoke up anyone. Like I'm an open bag. Like you get what you get. I'll say if I can do something, and if I can't, I'll be like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing there, and so that way I don't waste anyone's time.
Yeah, what J code are you in?
So I'm in the J3.
Okay. No, so here's the other thing that's really cool about what we do. We establish a lot of partnerships with big corporations down here and little corporations, which is helped us with transitioning folks. I've actually been able to make introductions, and this isn't to tout me, this is to tout the other folks that we are partnered with, make introductions to folks that actually have a connection to jobs from ops like J3, J2, So if you see things, the biggest thing for me, and obviously I'm here to help. I want to be able to help. And if there's a job, I always tell my friends this. I tell people that I meet in different networking events. If you see a job, you don't know anyone in that company, start connecting some dots. Look in at LinkedIn and say, okay, this person might work here, this person might work here, and find that connection where, hey, I'd love to be able to get in front of the hiring manager for that position. I do it all the time. Somebody might see me connected to somebody else and say, hey, Gary, do you know so and so? I did it for my son. My son works at SOCOM right now because we were able to connect dots to get him as a software developer up there. So even if it's not a D&I opportunity, if it's something else that you see, connect those dots and we'll, especially since I'm here in Tampa, I'm more than willing to help.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Penguin, what's your question? You're on mute, brother.
You might need to unplug the headset and plug it back in if it's not working.
I got it. Good afternoon, Gary. Sorry, my bad. I have a question about like you guys do a lot of stuff like system admin and like networking and a lot of cyber thing. Like when we do the stuff, like you guys support everything, or we have to bring our own stuff and doing the job.
So when you say bring your
Bring your own tools and then like doing those, or
no, that yeah, for us, we're always equipping the team with the tools that they need. So
so you guys also support the training or no?
we do. In many cases, we do. In some of our roles may be a little bit more junior, where we get folks in. We have a training and education reimbursement uh, opportunity for folks. So we pay up to $2,000 to help develop skills and get folks a little bit more IT savvy. Um, but for the most part, obviously for our higher level jobs, we do bring in more experienced IT talent. But that again, for our perspective, from our perspective, as we have jobs that open up, we do everything we can to be able to work with the candidates if they're a good fit.
Thank you.
Hey Tyler, I saw a question about SkillBridge on there, and I'd love Justin to be able to jump in if possible to talk about that, if that's
Yeah.
all right with you.
Great minds think alike, Gary. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I could respond to that, but I'd rather have Justin come on and chat about. Because my answer would be like all the positions are pretty much skill bridge in my mind. But Justin, what do you have on that one?
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't see that. I was responding to Tim Harrison and I didn't even see it pop up, but thank you guys for showing me that. As far as skill bridge opportunities, so we've been in the program for about 2 years now, and we are continuously growing. So with that, keep that in mind when you send stuff over to us. If we have areas of work of interest and it makes sense, we are willing to expand and grow on that. But for the most part, we are looking for technical people on our contracts. I always tell people that we all have pocket areas that we work as recruiters. So I will provide support for like Gary's program at SOCOM as needed, but we typically have a primary POC on that. So most of my skill bridge opportunities at the moment are in Oklahoma City or Dayton, Ohio. But most of the areas that we have work, our customer base is willing to entertain having those folks on there. And I would say that 80–90% of those are going to be technical positions, to include help desk administrators, systems administrators, network engineers, software developers, cybersecurity personnel. And that would be probably the bulk of what we're seeking for opportunities at the moment.
And if I could real quick, just kind of plug some of the stuff that Justin has done. And we have been very successful in helping transitioning veterans through that skill bridge program. We've had, I think, at least 4 or 5 in the last year, Justin, you can correct me, but that have actually transitioned into roles with us. And so, obviously for us, we want to help those that are transitioning. We aren't allowed to bill for it, which is great. This is completely taking a step of faith that says, hey, we want to help this individual as they're getting out. We'd love for them to join DNI at some point, but if not, it's okay because that's our goal and mission is to be able to help you as you transition. So it's really kind of cool to see those that do come in and are able to stay because we have a position for them after. But for those that are coming in and getting that experience and then going on and doing great things is also fun for us to see.
Well, I know I really appreciate the work that you guys do and how flexible you are with the transitioning service member, especially as they're getting out. So, what was the question I was going to ask? So sometimes I would bet, and correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, but if there's folks that are, there's a lot of, it sounds like a lot of technical roles, right, at DNI, which is great. If there are a lot of folks on this call that are like maybe just shy of what they're looking for, right? Like maybe they're working with a provider to get upskilled and certified and things like that. Is it a good idea to put their name in the hat when it comes to like that resume, like send your resume here? That way there, once they get to a point where they're qualified for the position, they can then apply or they can be considered.
Yeah, absolutely. And for us, obviously some of the positions do require certifications and things like that. And we do in some instances of our programs, we have a grace period to be able to get to those certifications. But that's the other thing for me. I was able to do late in my career and highly encourage, as you're making that transition, go get your certifications, go get, and education's hard because education takes time, but a lot of the certifications don't really take that much time. I say that, getting some of them do require you to really understand and maybe have a commitment of a couple months in. But I would still highly encourage if you feel like you're going to transition into a tech career and you don't have a Security Plus, go get that. Go study for it, put the time in, get that certification because a lot of times that's that first step in the door. You may be green in some areas, but if you have the certification, that's that first requirement. And so it would help you out tremendously to be able to do that. Now, we do have a construction side, and I think Lance might have talked about it a little bit, Tyler. I'm not overly familiar with that side, and it's our UNAMI division of D&I. But I know Brandon Hill, our lead there, he's done great things, and he's built that side of the business up extremely well, and we are very successful on that side. Justin, do you have any insight or any information or advice you can provide from the non-IT side?
Yeah, I was going to add on that a little bit more because I know sometimes I can kind of come off painting that we only do IT work, and if you're not IT, then it's goodbye. And that's not the truth. It's just it's mostly our bread and butter, and so it's a lot of my daily focus. But to tie into Jeffrey's question as well, talking about does D&I have pipelines to train and equip us with skills? This kind of piggybacks off Gary's statement. When we bring people on for SkillBridge, the notion is that we will provide you some OJT to get you ramped up and to make sure that it would be a fit, with the expectation that, as Gary mentioned, you are doing some of those things behind the scenes. So sometimes I'll meet with folks and they'll say, "Well, I was I was a logistician in the Army, and I really want to get into IT," and that's great, but well, what have you done to take that next step? A lot of people want to get into IT and technical roles, but you kind of have to do your own homework on the back end so we can help provide that OJT. Like Gary said, most times that's going to be getting your A plus, your net plus, or your sec plus, and then having those expectations that when you come onto the position, that if you want to get into cybersecurity, that's all good and well, but there's probably going to be some stepping stones like a junior level systems administrator or maybe a help desk support person before you go into cybersecurity. We have an individual who kind of comes from the aircraft maintenance side of things at Tinker Air Force Base that we're working with right now, and wants to get into IT, but he's taking those steps and getting his certifications. So we will most likely bring him on at the top of the new year in a junior level systems administrator role with a lot of on the job training. So, and as far as non-technical roles, D&I does have those. It's just a matter of right now it's not a huge part of our portfolio. And then B, when we do have those openings, they go lightning fast. So, for example, in Ohio at Wright-Patterson, we do have a handful of positions where we have like a logistics technician, and then some personnel administrative roles. And those just typically are not on the market very long, because for every 10 roles we have on that contract, only one of those might be administrative duties. So, and then on the construction Unami side of things, similar work there. It's a smaller piece of our portfolio, and so our openings do come, but they're just not as frequent as our technical roles, if that makes sense. But I do always like to add, like Gary said too, where DNI, and I think he would agree that where DNI is as a company is so early in its career stage and development. We're doing big business and we're doing big things, but we are still growing and expanding and bidding and working on new projects that are going to grow our portfolio over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. That if we're on a call like this in 3 years from now, the conversation could be completely different. And that's really what we focus on, is developing long-term relationships, building a network, and that, hey, if we don't have something for you in 6 months or 12 months, 18 months, 24 months might look a lot differently than it did right now in November of 2025.
Yeah, and Justin,
go
go ahead,
ahead.
Tyler.
Go ahead, Gary.
No, I was just going to say, well, and that's a perfect story there, Justin. I mean, that really is with D&I and the growth that we've had, especially, I've been here 2 years, and folks like Lance have been here 9 years. We've got people in the company who've been here 17 years through acquisition, and it's morphed so much from that small business that it started, and over the last 7 years is really where it started picking up some steam, to be where we are today. And that is so true. And one of the things I really wanted to highlight too is, when you take a step and you evaluate what you're currently doing or what you've done in the past, and either in the military, if you're in industry now, the biggest thing you want to do is translate that to what you're looking to do, right? So if there's a job that you see, and you think, oh man, I haven't done any of that, really take a survey of what you truly have done. The Morse code interceptor things that I did, there was a lot of technical aspects to that I translated through a resume and through my interview process that allowed the hiring managers to understand that I knew what I was talking about. And so really, again, and it can be any industry. That's not just from a technical side of things. It is as you're doing things in your job in the military, or if you're recently in the industry, think about what you do on a day to day. And as I work with folks and try to help them with their resumes, or, kind of tell a story, it really is take that step back. You're doing much more than what you think, when people are putting bullets on their resume and it's like, you just kind of get into that humdrum. No, be specific. If you're using an application in what you do, put that application on your resume, because you never know when a recruiter is going to do a keyword search for that application. It may seem that it's not that big of a deal to you, but in the future, as the recruiters are looking for that specific role or specific person who can do that, that's really key. And so that's been a big from me on both the hiring side and as I was working through my career to get where I am, because I started out as a billable systems administrator when I got out of the military, and it was a very low end job, but it was a great job for me. It was a great start. I didn't have a whole lot of experience, but somebody took a chance on me. I got in an interview and then went from there. It is an opportunity for you to really capture what you've done, because it's important work. Leadership is important work. When you talk about leading teams and all the things that go along with mentoring, and SkillBridge is a perfect example. As we bring SkillBridge folks on, we've got our team members who train them. That is a very valuable thing, to be able to sit down and train folks on what you do. So just highly recommend not just getting caught in creating bullets on a resume, but really thinking about what you do, putting in really high the things that, even if it may seem like it's just not important, it is important. So make sure you kind of get those things on your resume as well.
Okay, Gary, I really appreciate the feedback, really the information for the students, but are you ready for a hard question?
I am. Uh-oh.
Okay, so if I'm a skill bridger sitting on this call right now in Seven Eagle Academy, and my skill sets align with the mission at DNI, and I could provide immediate impact for your company, and I were to start, apply, Justin interviews me, I get hired, all that stuff, let's say I had 2 months of SkillBridge time, what would that next 2 months look like in a nutshell? And then how would it look going from SkillBridge to like hired at DNI as a full-time employee?
Yeah, so perfect, because we just had a couple of these, one in Tinker, actually two in Tinker. So as a SkillBridge fellow, I think that's what they're called, an intern. So they are automatically onboarded onto the contract. We had one network engineer that came on and got ingrained in the mission. So basically, your first couple of weeks are really learning what the mission, what we do. The couple of weeks after that, really getting more comfortable with the day to day. So we start opening up kind of the permissions and the ability for our SkillBridge folks to get more autonomy, right? So you start to learn how to do the job. You're able to do the job, and then the next month really is you're contributing to the mission, right? The first month, kind of that onboarding and kind of getting used to everything and really getting an understanding, and then you're contributing. So for us, it is contributing to the mission. It's contributing to DNI, and then from there, as we've had folks transition out, about a month out, we start the process of looking around, do we have a role on the current contract that they're on? If we don't, is there a way to create something? We have the ability to do that with our customers in some cases, where we say, hey, we see the value that this position, that this individual's created for us. I have direct contact with the customer and say, hey, we want to create something here because we need this. We saw the gap when this individual was sitting with us and able to contribute to our mission. And so in some cases, they may create a position. If not, it is, do we have anybody that we know is going to be transitioning out? And so we are able to work with that SkillBridge individual and get them hired onto a contract. So, and it may not, if you're out thinking outside the box, if you're not connected to or tied to a certain area, we have a lot of really cool things going on in other areas. And so for us, we haven't in Dayton, Ohio specifically, we are working with the Dayton Development Coalition to where we are incentivized if we bring talent from outside of Ohio into Ohio, which is phenomenal. We're starting to build that relationship with other cities as well and other states. And so, as the SkillBridge program winds down for that individual, we start working with them, especially Justin and his team start working with them to identify what is it next steps you would like to do. Because we don't want to just try to place you somewhere where it's not going to fit, but work with them to understand where they want to be, what skills they felt like they've been able to develop or hone a little bit more, and then start working that angle of, hey, where do you want to be? And if it's not with D&I, we've actually helped them transition to other organizations as well. And so that's a really cool,
Wow.
cool thing that we're able to do.
I love that part. So when would you say, I mean, in recent memory, when would you guys say that conversation typically takes place? Like if someone's got 3 months of time on the ground as a skill bridger, are you having that conversation maybe like a month out or 2 weeks out to give someone confidence that I'm either going to land a role here or I might have to look for something different?
Yeah, and Justin, I'm going to answer it, but I also want you to jump in because I know with Jalen, you were actually instrumental in that one. For me as the director side of things, I usually work with my program managers because I don't have the direct day-to-day with the Skill Bridge interns. I know our team as they're working through the OJT and working them through the process. The program managers are having that conversation throughout. Hey, your skill set is either, and we're honest with people too. I mean, sometimes it may not be the right fit in the role that they're in, and that's okay. We want to help you get to where you will be the right fit for you. So we have that conversation from day one, but when it gets about a month out is where we really start digging deep into, okay, hey, you're a great system administrator. We might have this role right here at Tinker, or we might have this thing out in Dayton that would be a better fit for you. We're going to get incentivized as an organization. You're going to get incentivized with moving costs and things like that potentially. So, I'd say the real not hard conversation, real deep conversations will start happening a month out.
Okay.
Justin, did I say that right?
Yeah, 100%. I think when we bring people on to SkillBridge, we have a very intimate relationship with them. It's very, we have several conversations. I will talk with them 2, 3, 4, 5 times about their career goals, their expectations, what they're seeking, what they're missing, what they would like to get out of it. If you're stationed at Wright-Patterson, do you want to stay at Wright-Patterson or do you want to get the heck out of Dodge as soon as that's over and paint those realistic expectations for us and that if you want to go get stationed at Travis Air Force Base in Cali, well, at the moment for the foreseeable future, probably not DNI realistic. And there's no secret to that just because we don't have any work there and I don't see any in the next 12 to 24 months. But anyways, long story short, we have those conversations from probably day one, if not further. And then we set salary expectations as well. So if another one, if you're wanting to make $150,000 in Oklahoma City, I'll be honest and say sometimes that can be really, really tough. And just to let you know that from the get-go. So, and when I say tough, we're talking for some of our skill bridgers like systems administrators. If you have those goals, I'm just kind of carrying on there. But we're talking throughout the whole process from day one, and then we definitely have a calendar note. If you've got 90 days left, if you got 60 days left, 30 days left, the last thing we want is you to think that you have a position with us, and then you go on the unemployment line with a bad narrative in your head or in your mind. We love talent retention. That's our goal from day one. But if we foresee that maybe positions are tight or anything, we always encourage those folks to be interviewing and shopping around if we can't provide for them, if that makes sense.
And Justin, just one other thing that's really important is that we treat you like an employee. You're not able to be an employee of D&I because of the way the thing, the actual program works. You're still in the military, you're still part of the service, which is great. But we treat you like an employee. So that's one of the cool things that, for me at having conversations with Justin and when we're bringing folks on, it is truly, you're a part of the team. You're a part of our organization mission. You just don't have the D&I logo yet, but our goal is always to make that happen after it.
Yeah, Gary often asked me about a SkillBridge guy that we had who has still not been an employee of ours for different reasons. We wanted to bring him on so bad, but the one position we had when he came off did not work with his family situation. It was a shift position, and which we understood, but anytime we have an opening in our Oklahoma City market, the first thing Gary does is say, "Hey, what about this individual? What about the like?" We're still trying to find him a home, and he's doing well, but we really like talent retention, and as Gary said, like you are basically an employee of ours, and you know he hasn't been with us for 4 or 5, 6 months, but Gary still mentions his name anytime we have a vacancy because we want to bring those guys back if we can't retain them day one. So
That's the impact. Yep.
That is freaking awesome. So that man, that I just so you guys know, anybody on the call, if you have any questions for Gary or Justin, just throw your hand up. We'll call on you when in order as you guys throw your hands up. If you have any interest in the defense sector at all, whether it be IT, construction, anything like that, don't hesitate to ask these guys a question while they're here, giving us their time. In the meantime, I've got 1 or 2 more for you guys if you don't mind. But guys, Academy students, don't be shy. Pop on, ask a question. This is how you're going to get the information that you guys need to be successful. So take advantage of the time that we have. I have one that actually, if you guys both want to answer, that would be cool. Is what is a potentially unique benefit or feature of working at DNI that really gets you guys excited? Like I know a lot of companies have their own different cool benefits and things like that. What's something that you're like, I get excited about that, knowing that I have that available to me or whatever, working at DNI?
Justin, I'll go first if you're good with that.
I'm perfectly fine with that.
I'm gonna say 2 things, Tyler. One is employee only paid insurance. Love that. I've never had that in a company. It is a huge weight off my shoulders because I didn't retire out of the military. I don't have VA benefits. So to have that is such a blessing for me, and I'm grateful for it. And the other thing is, and this is a lot of companies may kind of talk about their culture, but maybe not live it. We have a Shines culture, and it's selflessness, humility, integrity, native pride, entrepreneurship, and servanthood, and we live it. And I get a chance to go out to Oklahoma City often and be around the corporate and the headquarters, and it truly is. Our company culture is second to none. And I've again been doing this for 25 years, and I brag on it all the time because I told Lance this the other day. This is my ride or die. Yeah, they have spoiled me for any other company. I can't go anywhere else from here. So DNI is just a fantastic company to work for, and I've not worked for a company like this. Not to say other ones were bad by any means, but just they go above and beyond from a culture perspective. Justin, over to you.
Yep, I agree. And then I will add two. I'll have two. One's a small one, then one's a kind of a standard big one. But DNI is also the first company that I've heard of that you get your birthday off. It's a very small one, but on the recruitment side, I wouldn't mention it if it didn't come to my head that when I present that to candidates, it really stands out. I mean, when you do the math, it's only 8 hours, right? It's only one extra day, but people love that, and it is really cool. So when you work at DNI, you do get your birthday off paid, and it's not charged to your traditional PTO. And it's just a cool benefit that I haven't heard a lot of companies do. I know a lot of people will take their birthday off, but it's out of their own bucket. But ours is paid, and if your birthday falls on a Saturday or Sunday, you don't lose it. You can take it up to any day, I think in the month now of your birthday. So that's always a unique one. And then just the stage of where we are, which, you know, I hope we stay this way, and I think we will to a fault, but the way our growth model works, we are going to expand and get a lot bigger as we have. But high level leaders know your name, even though they may have never met you. So, like, for example, Gary may never meet a field employee of mine that I hired or may have even interacted with them, but just based off of feedback from the customer and seeing their resume several times or the internal movements that we have on contracts, there are candidates and hires that my boss remembers from that I hired from 5, 6, 7 years ago. For example, on one of our programs at Tinker called Enterprise Email, we'll have people that come and go due to getting promotions or moving for different opportunities, but they'll circle back 4 years later for a different program or a different job with promotional opportunity. And I'll mention that name to someone on our operations team who may have not even talked to that individual, but they'll remember that they worked for us for 18 months in, 2001 or 2002. So that's just kind of cool. I feel like at some of the bigger companies and the conglomerates, they don't know names, and they just, see the financial side of things. But at DNI, there are operations leaders that have worked here for 15, 16, 17 years that talk to hundreds of people a week, and they will still remember some of our field employees' names that they may have never even met. So just really cool.
Yeah, I can actually echo what Gary said as far as like how the team at DNI is treated. Like I don't even work for DNI, but I feel like part of the team at DNI, like just to give you guys an example, like one of the number 2 guy at the company, Lance, texts me on Saturday morning and is like, "Hey Tyler, I have extra tickets to the football game this weekend if you guys want them." Like, I don't even work there. He doesn't, Lance doesn't owe me anything, and he's just friendly group of folks that you guys have over there, and I just really appreciate that. Just so you guys know on the call, like this, if any of you have applied to any of the bigger defense contractors and been ghosted and not heard back from them and stuff like that, DNI is on the trajectory where they're going to be one of those big defense contractors. And man, I hope they can keep the culture that they have now, because it's so amazing from what I can tell. But this is y'all's chance to get in with a great company before they become, but before they grow really, really big. They already are growing fast, but before they become massive, like this is your chance to really get in and have conversations with people like Justin. I mean, like even Justin will email me or text me on the weekend and be like, "Hey, someone was not a good fit for DNI, so I wanted to introduce you to him for Seven Eagle Academy." And just like I said, just good people. So I really appreciate you guys. But I don't want to waste your time with that being said. So does anybody have any questions for Gary or Justin? Speak now or forever hold your peace so we can let them get back to their busy day.
I guess if I could, really quick, this is Demetrius, and this is for Gary. If you could just quickly, generally speaking, touch on the process of government contracting, as far as how does it look for like bids, and then when those contracts are awarded to DNI, how does that translate into job positions, and are those long term, or are people, I guess, not recycled but pushed to different positions within your company? Oh.
No, it's a great question. And honestly, for us, the bid process is long. I mean, a lot of times we're 18 months out when we know an opportunity is coming, and if we have to competitive bid it. So one of the great things about DNI is we're a tribal organization, which means we have the ability to get direct awards. And so that is a benefit for a customer, because if they have to get something out quickly, they're able to reach out to us. And because of our history and our past performance and the way that we've been able to execute other contracts, we've shown that value, the exceptional CPARs that we get, the ratings that we get. So it allows us to get those direct awards. And so we can circumvent that process. Not circumvent, we can reduce the time commitment on that process to be able to help a customer out. And then we're allowed to start executing on the contract. But for the most part, on a competitive bid, about 18 months out is when we say, "Hey, we want to pursue this opportunity." We go after an opportunity, and if we are selected as the prime vendor on that, then we build relationships and do all the things we need to do. Then we go and execute the work. And for the most part, most of our contracts are incumbent, so they've been there for a while. It's very, very rare that an organization, an agency from the government side of the house has a new opportunity. It does happen, but it's not as it's more rare than the coming in and somebody's already performing work, for a lot of the things that we do. Network infrastructure is in place. The one I did talk about earlier, where we are building out a new network, that was a new contract that was paving a new path. So we had to go out and recruit Justin's team, and others went out, recruited the talent to be able to get folks on, to do the work. So, but to answer your question, it is, we bid on the contract. If we're selected as the prime vendor, we either go, if there's an incumbent staff, we will start working with those folks. And then, obviously we bring on as many people as we can for the positions that we have. And then at the end of the contract, if for some reason DNI doesn't win it back, then we would work with a follow-on vendor to be able to do a transition out, which is very rare for us. We are we've been able to retain a lot of our contracts because the customer is just happy with what we do.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Timothy, got another one?
I do. So I actually have two questions. So the first one with contracts, like I'll see a lot of this contract is contingent upon reward award and stuff like that. So what are your thoughts on applying to those just to kind of get your name known to that company, just in case they don't win the bid, but they might have, other jobs, is my first question. And my second question was you were talking about some of the events and networking things, in-person stuff that you did uh, as you were transitioning, and wanted to know if you still did any of those in the Tampa area.
Yeah, so to answer that first question, 100%, I would put it in even if it is contingent because a lot of times it's not known who's going to win. There are some you'll hear it in the industry that this is wired for this company, and so you might feel like it's a waste of time. But I would say every time at least put your name in for the contingent contracts because if that company wins, they're going to need that resume database built up. And so it is worth your while to at least get that foot through that door and be able to do that. And for me, for the networking events, I've been to Gold Star Gala here, which was a phenomenal. And I think they just had it either this weekend or this past weekend. There's things that folks do for the community of the military and the service, and those are good networking opportunities. But AFCEA is an organization that has weekly or monthly luncheons. NDIA, which is the National Defense Industry Association, is another one that will do breakfasts, and they'll have keynote speakers that'll come in that will provide a lot of good information. A lot of times they're government customers, but so the crowd is typically, government contractors who are able to network, kind of talk about things, talk about, hey, we're going here, we might be going here. We've got these positions open. And so you have a little bit of a dialogue there with some peers. So, Timothy, I would recommend if you have not heard of NDIA, look that up. And Tyler, I'll send you some links if you're not familiar with those. You
Yeah,
probably heard of some of those too.
I,
So,
I got those recommended to me at the first networking event that I actually attended to, and I know there's a CISA lunch this coming Wednesday that I was going to do, but then something with the Seven Eagles group came up that kind of conflicted with those. So I haven't gone to the lunch or the breakfast yet, but they were recommended to me at an event that I did in October. Might have been the end of September. But all right,
okay.
thank you.
Yeah, anything you want, any information that you can email over to me, Gary, I'd more than appreciate that. I think you have you've got my email there, tyler@seveneagle.com.
Yes, got it.
But yeah, I really appreciate the info today. Always love having DNI on the calls with us. You guys always bring it, and you're doing great stuff for the community, not just our veteran community, but for the tribal community, for America. We really appreciate the work that you guys do. So, without further holding you guys up any longer, I'll let you go. Thanks so much for taking the time today, and we'll definitely be in contact with you guys. Let me shoot over any emails of folks that you want to add to our website so they can gain access to the community as well. Love to get more of you on there. Obviously, it's going to be below your level, but folks that are in there, we've got tons and tons of resumes of candidates on there, so come check us out.
That's awesome, Tyler. Thank you so much. I appreciate what you're doing. And it's a pleasure to meet all of you today. Look forward to linking up through LinkedIn. And if there's ways that I can help, I will. And Tyler, thank you so much. I really do appreciate being on here today.